Hi everyone. So, as Ivan said, I'm Nikola. I'm from Montenegro, and I'm the creator of Bitcoin Network of Montenegro, which is the first Bitcoin-only NGO in our country. And before, we had the opportunity to listen to Clement from Slovenia, and he said a lot of stuff that's happening in Slovenia in these recent years regarding the Bitcoin space. Not only recent years, but way in the history. My organization and generally Bitcoin in Montenegro is pretty young. So we are a young organization, but we still did some fun stuff. But probably I don't have enough of content to share with you for 30 minutes. So I thought maybe I should first go through monetary history of my country, because it's pretty interesting. It's not that common. So let's go there, and then we'll see. So brief monetary history. So what I want to show you here is that we once had our money, had our own money. Then we lost our own money. Then we adopted another form of money. Then we adopted another form of money, and we are still stuck with it. So 12 years of monetary independence. It happened from 1906 to 1918, and this is the last time that Montenegro was monetary sovereign. So Perper was the currency that King Nikola I introduced in 1906 as a form of pride and independence in Montenegro. And it was minted in gold, silver, bronze, and printed as paper notes. But first of all, until 1912, it was just minted in gold, silver, and bronze. And it was guaranteed by the value of the metal itself. So actually, the money had some real value. Then, in 1912, when Montenegro was preparing for First Balkan War, the state decided that they don't have enough of these materials to mint these coins anymore. So they introduced paper notes, which were backed by the promise of the state. And we know throughout the history how this promise pans out. It's always lost. It always disappears. So that's actually what happened here as well. In 1918, this short monetary independence history was lost when we were absorbed in the new kingdom of Serbs, Croatians, and Slovenes. And after that, we didn't have our own money anymore. So all throughout the history from 1918 to this day, we were using other nations' money. So fast forward to Yugoslavia, because I think that's also a case not only for Montenegro, but for a lot of other countries here. Yugoslavia was one of the worst hyperinflation cases in Europe's history. Unfortunately, I didn't live in that period, so I couldn't tell you first-hand experience, but my parents and my grandparents did. And there were a lot of interesting stories that I heard from them about this. For example, that prices were doubling every day, so they were getting salaries 2 times a day, once during the morning and then once during the evening. So they could actually afford something. Then sellers were erasing and writing prices with chalk because they had to do it multiple times a day. And you could see like standing in a line and then watching just prices getting erased and then written again. Then also that there were a lot of stories concerning the amount of money that was getting printed. So government actually printed 500 billion dinar banknotes, which was like the highest one. And this note couldn't even buy a loaf of bread. So actually also, for example, the bus drivers, they wouldn't actually accept money for the ticket because they knew that this money would either come in a huge advance, or it will lose money by the end of the day. So they would just ride the bus for free. People actually burn cash for heat, and that wasn't a symbolic thing. That was just to keep them warm, because burning money was cheaper than burning firewood. And of course, savings vanished overnight. So after this, Montenegrins were really, really angry about this, and they wanted reforms. They wanted change. So in 1999, so late 90s, the government decided to, okay, let's use dinar too, but let's adopt a new form of currency. That was German mark. So we adopted German mark in 1999, and it was a dual monetary system. So we had a mark and we had a dinar. But only a year after that, the government decided, okay, let's drop the dinar. German marks looked okay. So let's drop the dinar, let's use only German marks. And why did I write German marks instead of bananas? Because German marks were imported from Germany in banana trucks into Montenegro. So that's how they got into our country. And then Central Bank Act of 2001. Of 2001, sorry. So the government decided to create a central bank act to regulate this new money and to prepare themselves for euro. So we already knew that we will adopt the euro because euro was in preparation during this time. So we knew that we will adopt it. So we wanted to do something to prepare. So we created a central bank, but this central bank that's still. This is the building that still lasts, and the central bank that still works in Montenegro. And this is the recent photo. So it's still there, but it has literally no point. Central Bank of Montenegro literally has no point. It was created for two reasons only. First reason, to control, as you know, every central bank does. Not necessarily control people, but control other commercial banks. And second reason, or maybe the main reason I would say, is to create public sector jobs. Public sector jobs is one of the worst, I would say, problems currently in Montenegro. We have 200,000 to 220,000 working age citizens, and out of those citizens, 55,000 work in the public sector. So every fourth or fifth citizen works in the public sector. And that's a really, really scary thing, I would say, because it's probably the scariest economic fact of my country, to be honest. I always try to pinpoint to that, to show people how bad that is, how destructive that is, because we have a really, really low private sector in Montenegro. So we don't have startups, or there are some, but there are very little, very little. Then we don't have any new initiatives that would innovate, that will bring some new investments in Montenegro. It's basically from young you are taught to work in the public sector, to get the government job, to work in the ministry, to work in the central bank, or whatever. So that's why I think this is really destructive. And of course, as I said earlier, Central Bank of Montenegro has literally no point, because we can print our money, we can set interest rates, we can't do anything. We import this from EU, and we try to follow their lead. But of course, just copying institutions never works. So euro without Europe. Montenegro is using euro currently, and it's a really interesting way how we adopted euro. So we are one of the few countries, or probably the only country in the world that adopted euro unilaterally. What does that mean? We adopted it kind of illegally, because to adopt a euro, you need to be in EU and Eurozone. So how do countries adopt euros usually? So there are two ways. First way is join EU and slowly change your currency to euro. That's what's happening, as I understand, in Bulgaria from 1st of January of 2026. And the other way is join EU, but have your currency. So that's Poland, that's some other countries. So you can either adopt euro or choose not to adopt it. But nobody actually adopted euro willingly before this. So what we did is we had these huge planes that were carrying German marks back to Germany, and they gave us back the euros. And then what happened is, in shops, in supermarkets, we had created really big issues, because there were no small weapons, there were no coins to get the change. So what we actually did then, we took those euros in the same planes, sent them back to Germany. They loaded the planes with coins, and they sent us back the coins. So after that, it kind of stabilized and euro became the currency of Montenegro, and it's still to this day. In 2006, May of 2006, we reclaimed our independence. Montenegro was officially, so we officially reclaimed our independence at a referendum. But we continue using the euro, so no ECB membership, but we continued using the euro, so no monetary sovereignty again. And we had the same ruling party in power for over 30 years. So until 2020, we had same guys ruling the country. No national, of course, Bitcoin policy. In this period of 30 years, I wouldn't even mention anything, like, because there were no kind of innovation in money. No, we were just following the other big nations. But in 2020, we had a government change, and it was created some kind of hope in Montenegro that something will change. It was the first peaceful government change in 30 years, and it promised reform, transparency in the public sector. It promised releasing or removing some workers in public sector, innovation, of course, and then Ministry of Finance. So in 2020, when the new government started, he promised or pledged to make Montenegro Bitcoin and crypto capital of the world, or crypto and Bitcoin friendly, as it's said. But still to this day, so 5 years, we still don't see anything of this sort. So what happened so far in the, let's say, last 5 years? Let's say the good, bad, and ugly. I will start with bad and ugly, because that's, I think, we should maybe finish with the more positive note. So I think a lot of you heard that in 2023, Do Kwon was arrested in Montenegro. He was arrested on fraud charges, but he was actually arrested at the airport when he was trying to flee to Dubai. And he was arrested on fake documents. So in this period of 1 year, he was in jail in Montenegro while they were fighting, South Korea and US were fighting who will get him, where to extradite Do Kwon. And he created a huge chaos in Montenegrin politics, because he sent a letter from jail that he was financing some campaigns of our high officials before, and also our prime minister was one of the earliest investors in Luna. So when it crashed, of course, there were zeros in the wallet, so it crashed. But he, as I said, created a huge problem in our politics and in our media. In 2024, in December, we extradited Do Kwon to US, and from then all the stories about him were off in both global media and in our regional media in Montenegro. Executives kidnapped. Binance executives were kidnapped in Montenegro. You can see CZ's post here, where he said that 12.5 million of US dollars were lost in this kidnapping. We don't have any further information on this case except this CZ's post. So no media articles, no other Binance clarifications. This is only what we know. But another thing happened during this time, and it's that they found a Bitcoin ATM in the one small seaside city of Tivat in Montenegro. And I swear to you, it was the craziest, I would say, 2 weeks of Montenegrin media ever. I think it would create less noise if they found a bomb in Tivat than this ATM. And there were so much questions. Where is it coming from? Why are they scamming us? What's happening? ATM was removed by authorities like immediately when they found out about it. But it was so funny because it created such a chaos. Pyramid schemes, so much of them. So people were, there was a couple of apps actually that were created in the span of a year that promised these huge returns if you sign up. So you sign up, pay a membership, and then you magically see some numbers. And actually, for maybe half a year, they worked, and some people got their money. But a lot of people actually went to the banks, took a loan, and then invested in these type of things. And after maybe half a year, they just rug pulled everyone, and everything was lost. And during this period, I was getting so many calls, like, what's happening? Is this Bitcoin? Is this Bitcoin? Why did this happen? But actually, what I told them then, even before the schemes crashed, that this is like the most basic form of get-rich-quick schemes and pyramid schemes. So I'm not sure how so many of Montenegrins actually fell to this. And this is actually was one of the motivations for my NGO, because it was a crazy amount of scams and people losing their money. Influence of Vitalik Buterin. So this is also what you could have seen in the global media in Montenegro. Vitalik came a couple of years ago. He met up with the most high officials, even the prime minister, who gave him a Montenegrin passport. So Vitalik is now a citizen of Montenegro, Canada, and Russia. So that was also really crazy. You can see him here with these high officials and him just in the shorts in front of them. This is also from one conference in Montenegro that was happening, I think, a year or two ago. So he promised that he will bring Ethereum Foundation to Montenegro, that it will bring up jobs and stuff like that, that he is a good friend with our prime minister. But actually what happened is that after maybe a year or two, I don't see him anymore in media. I don't see any more conferences. I just see this promise of something, and good, great. I hope that he has a great life. But people actually in the south say that they still see him, so that he's actually residing in south of Montenegro, but we are not sure. Ripple and CBDC. This is also a thing that was 2022, 2023, really popular in Montenegro media. So Central Bank of Montenegro signed an agreement with Ripple to develop a strategy for a digital currency pilot project. And as you can see, straight from this title, you can see that this is a really big scam. But they, as Ripple always does, they go into these central banks and stuff, and they sign some agreements, sign some papers, and then promise, wow, we'll create this stable coin. But it's just for media, and then a year or a couple months after, they just disappear. That's exactly what happened here in Montenegro. They promised this stable coin. They created some conferences, some meetings with high executives and stuff like that. But after maybe 3 or 4 months, it just disappeared. But this is all like really bad, really depressing stuff. But let's move on from this and go to some of the good things that are happening in Montenegro. Montenegro is actually a country that doesn't have any regulatory clarity for Bitcoin and, of course, other shitcoins. So this is also good and bad, mostly good, because a couple years ago, or also in 2023, as you can see, 2023 was a year where a lot of stuff, a lot of bad stuff happened in our country. But Ministry of Finance then came out with a statement that cryptocurrency trading in Montenegro is illegal. Then this created like a huge bump. Why is it illegal? Is it illegal? And then just a week after this, Central Bank of Montenegro came out and said that conducting cryptocurrency transactions are free in Montenegro because it's not regulated. So actually, it created a huge confusion, like who to listen now, Ministry of Finance or Central Bank. But currently, as we know, there are no regulations regarding cryptos in Montenegro, so they are free to, you can freely work with them. But on the other side, that the thing that it's free, it's not regulated, is preventing businesses from accepting Bitcoin. And it's really hassle to try and accept Bitcoin in Montenegro. There are some real estate agencies where they promise that they actually accept or take Bitcoin for properties, but that's on more of a high level. Bitcoin hydro bonds. So this is one of the best things that happened, I would say, in the space in the last years. And that's when Samson Mau, Prince Philip, and Gentry & Company met up with the Prime Minister of Montenegro to talk about the Bitcoin hydro bonds project. It happened in 2023. they met up. They talked. Prime Minister actually a part of these talks were in the HBO documentary about Satoshi, and the Prime Minister here said that Montenegro has from 5 to 6 terawatt hours of energy, of hydro energy, and we only use 20% of that. So there are huge potentials for using this energy to actually mine Bitcoin and to create a national Bitcoin strategy. After this happened, they came out with a statement, said all of these things. But unfortunately, for a year now, we don't see any news in this side, anything that happened that pushed this forward. We'll see. Maybe it will happen in the future. As I said, our Prime Minister is Bitcoin friendly, but I guess there are some high powers, aka EU, because we want to join EU by 2028, that are preventing this from actually going forward and moving on. And then at the block 813629, I created Bitcoin network of Montenegro. That's end of the 2023. Because of all of these crazy things that happened, all of these bad stuff that happened, I created organization to kind of try to educate and push people towards a solution, I would say. And as I said, organization was created in October of 2023. To tell you how did this happen, I would say I would go back to my Bitcoin journey, and it started in Bitcoin journey started in 2022 and 2023, or 2020. It started in 2021, but I really got into it, like educating myself more. Started attending conferences from 2023, but I was. I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to listen to Rick's talk, but he said that his dad and him were lucky because they didn't dwell into the shitcoins. Well, my dad and me weren't that lucky because we started mining Ethereum in 2017. I know, boo, but it's not like it didn't end at that. Of course, after we saw what's happening, after I educated myself and then transferred that knowledge to my father, we are now, of course, me for a long time, but him as well, Bitcoin only. And we actually created some kind of a small circular economy between two of us, where if I need something, kind of a larger purchase, like I needed a laptop a couple of months ago, he purchased it with fiat, and then I gave him Bitcoin. So this way, both sides are happy, and Bitcoin is standing in the family, or it's there in the family, and it's not moving away. So that's kind of my story, and that's how organization was formed. Why? Bitcoin has given me a lot, much more than I could ever have anticipated when I first heard about it. And I don't mean in the sense of finances and money and stuff like that. I mean in the sense of community, in the sense of education. Bitcoin educated me in money, in politics, in economics, in history, in geography, in all of the other fields. Like Bitcoin really is everywhere. So I really feel a strong need to give back as much as I possibly can. And that's what I'm doing here with the organization. But when we formed the organization, of course, problems started arising. The first one was that we were denied a bank account in all banks in Montenegro, and it's just because there is a Bitcoin in the name of the organization. So I submitted all the documents. I gave up, like every other organization, NGO in Montenegro. I submitted everything, but I just received this email. In accordance with the bank's internal policies, we are unable to open an account for the NGO Bitcoin network of Montenegro. When you ask them to clarify this, they don't want to do it. They just say this is the internal policy, and that's it. I would say that this is because of the central bank, not really a fault of a commercial bank, because why would a commercial bank deny a business? But that's what actually happened. And I know this is also a problem for other countries in the region, so they created an organization that doesn't have a Bitcoin in the name, and that's how they solved this. But I tried it with Bitcoin naming. Of course, it didn't really work. So what did we accomplish so far in Montenegro? Meetups. Meetups were held in Podgorica, but we had guests coming from all over the Montenegro and all over the region as well. But generally, meetups give us 5 to 10 guests per meetup. And I used it for knowledge sharing, for ideas, opinions. We were networking, of course. So meetups, I think, are really, really good because there is a one-on-one talks, and also there is, as Arvin before said, there is alcohol involved. So there is always it's always easier to approach someone. News and media. So guest on different TV shows. I was a guest on different TV shows in Montenegrin media, trying to separate, which I think is the most important thing, Bitcoin from crypto, because everything that I showed you earlier was crypto, shitcoin coded. I wanted to do something that will separate it, it will show Montenegrins what's real and what's fake. I also wrote some opinions and PRs in domestic and regional media portals on topics about Bitcoin regulation, Bitcoin Montenegro, freedom. I was also, before ROS was released, I was also talking a lot about ROS Celebrate payments, organization, and stuff. International conferences, I attended with the organization a lot of different conferences in Europe, BTC Prague, Bitcoin Amsterdam, Oslo Freedom Forum. I was a part of organizing team of Bitcoin Film Fest in Warsaw, and Bridging Bitcoin in Belgrade. I think these conferences are important for sharing these ideas and opinions, conferences such as these, because especially when we have members of different regional organizations, we are all small countries, so I think it's really important that we connect and try to forward this idea together. In April of last year, we organized first Bitcoin-only conference in Podgorica, Montenegro. It was one day. We had around 70 attendees. It was completely free, of course, but it gained some traction, not as much as I anticipated, but it gained some traction. We had 9 domestic and foreign speakers. Samsung now actually opened the conference virtually, and then Prince Philip was there with us live to close the conference. We had 6 presentations, basically spanning from what is money, how does it work, how does Bitcoin solve this, Bitcoin payments, freedom, and stuff like that. And after that, we did a hangout session, Q&A, and barbecue session in a town near Podgorica. We transacted during the conference 1.7 million sats, which is now around $2,000, and all attendees were using these sats to buy books, merch, hardware wallets, drinks, and stuff like that. And of course, all of this happened because of BTC Pay server. Our friends there, Pavlenex, Uncle Rockstar, and everyone else, they really helped us not only financially, but to set up the whole POS system and enable users to use Lightning to buy stuff with Bitcoin. This is my favorite thing, I would say, that we did with the organization, which is faculty lectures. We started doing it basically from the start, but the most recent one, and probably the biggest one, is in May of this year, where I went to Faculty of Economics in University of Donja Gorica and held a lecture, 1.5-hour lecture about Bitcoin. But I wanted to approach the students, so the lecture was given for first-year students for their second semester, so I wanted to approach them before they started learning so much Keynesian and stupid economic theories that are really dumb and have no real connection to the real world. So I wanted to approach them before and show them there is another way, there is another solution to this. And solution is, of course, Bitcoin, but I wanted to do it with what is money, how did the state destroy our money, and then slowly transition into what is Bitcoin, how does it work, payments, as I said, freedom, Balkan communities that we have, who controls Bitcoin, why is it important. So this is one of my favorite things that we did, and it was around 100 students, and by the end of the 1.5-hour lecture, we had maybe 10 or 15 students that that stayed after the lecture, and they actually had some really good questions. It was obvious to me that they really listened to the lecture, that they really want to know more, and that I set up their Lightning wallets. I gave them some sats to show them how does this work, and the feedback was really, really great. So I really like this this part of the organization. And future regional conferences, such as I said, this one are, I think, really important to connect, to form some bigger communities, and to work together, forwarding freedom-focused values. Of course, Bitcoin as well, lobbying maybe in EU, although this is really, really hard. Conferences, as I said, meetups, university lectures will also be the main point and really important, because I'm really passionate about this. I think this is when it needs to start. And of course, communication with decision makers and regarding policies that they do in regarding to this space. So, as we all know, MICA is also now really popular in Europe, but MICA is really restrictive, as Clement also talked today during his lecture. It's really restrictive to businesses, to freedom, to everything. So we should like do everything we can to push this out. So thank you. Here are my socials. If you have any questions, we have a couple more minutes maybe, but that's it. Thank you.